My name is Tim Portlock, and I'm one of the artists exhibiting work in the show called Interplay at the A.I.R Art Center. As part of the exhibition, each of the artists were asked to create a video which describes the process that was used to create the work that we are showing. I think one of the important aspects when talking about my creative process is some of the experiences that I've had in my life that have shaped my sensibility, which in turn shapes some of the creative choices that I make when I'm making a work of art. One of the biggest experiences that I've had is being a biracial person growing up in one of the most segregated cities in the United States. One of the things that came out of that experience is an ongoing interest in how we as individuals define ourselves, whether we like it or not, in relationship to the space that we inhabit, and how this dialogue changes when we inhabit different spaces. So, for example, here in the United States, people might refer to me as an African American, but if I go to another country, like let's say a country in Europe, I might be referred to as the American who happens to be black. I think because of this long-term interest, I have a tendency to gravitate towards images of urban space in my own work. One of the things that's appealing to me about urban imagery is the notion of the city as a space that contains a whole range of communities, language groups, classes, etc. And navigating through an urban space is, in effect, interacting with various definitions of what it means to be an individual. As far as what's motivating me to make the work that I'm making right now, there's actually several different things that I'm sort of thinking about or working out in my head that I don't think I've quite resolved yet, but through the process of making the work, I will come to some sort of resolution. It is a recent trip my wife and I took in Cairo. We went to go see the pyramids, which required us to take a taxi from central Cairo to Giza. And in the process, we had to take a skyway, which is very similar to the BQE in New York or the highway system in downtown Los Angeles. One of the things that really struck me about this cab ride was just seeing the tops of the pyramids peaking above the residential buildings as we came closer to where they are. Part of what made that interesting was just seeing people going about their daily lives as if these really otherworldly looking buildings that were just humongous were just an average part of life. And in fact, they are an average part of life there. And what that made me think about is what types of structures exist in my environment that I think are probably, while not as monumental as the pyramids, are somewhat impressive. One of the things that really stands out to me about the area that I just arrived in is the volume of abandoned buildings. Buildings in my area probably stand out a lot more to me than other people who live here because I'm new to the area. However, I think that obviously they are a symptom of some underlying dynamic. Basically, I took a walk around my neighborhood with a digital camera and photographed a number of the abandoned buildings that just really stood out for me. Into my laptop and adjust them using a software package called Adobe Photoshop. The third step, I made 3D models using a software package that one would use to create a 3D animation or special effects or models for a computer game. And then finally, I add the photograph to the models that I created, and then I make prints.